Okay, guys, we're ready to roll. Good evening, council, senior leadership team, residents of the town. See, we have quorum, so I call this meeting to order for September 3rd. I ask all those that may to please rise as we sing the national anthem, led by our clerk, Madame Rosado.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patrons are, in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Just declaring interest, right? Oh, no, do the agenda first. Motion put forward by Councillor Trophy, seconded by Councillor Corr. Be it resolved that the agenda for the September 3rd, 2019 regular meeting of council will be adopted. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. And I should have asked if there was any changes. And now, after reviewing the agenda, does any councillor have pecuniary interest to declare? Not seeing any, I ask the clerk to please note that.
First item on the agenda is a presentation by the bench.
Okay. So now, so we just do that.
We'll wait for the presentation.
Yes, of course. So now, the first presentation of the night will be Gail Bolches representing the Bandshell Committee. The floor is yours, Ms. Bolches.
Fabulous. Thank you very, very much. Good evening, Mayor Junkin, councilors, town staff. It's nice to be here again. Tonight, we're here. Firstly, we thank you for allowing us to address you this evening. We're here from the Fonthill Bandshell concerts with many of our volunteers to formally ask for your support in joining us in our efforts to improve the hillside terrace of our natural amphitheater surrounding the Fonthill Bandshell that was donated to the town of Pelham in celebration of Fonthill's 150th anniversary. As many of you know, after 14 years of bandshell concerts, park use, and natural forces, the hillside in Peace Park has eroded substantially, and our once gentle natural slope is today filled with divots, holes, in some areas even sinkholes, severe grades, and difficult walkability. It's a severe safety hazard for the town of Pelham and for those of us involved in the Fonthill Bandshell concert series. We have requested improvements to the park each and every year since 2012. Unfortunately, when higher level of government funding was available a number of years back, your previous town administrator and council chose to aim for pie in the sky funding rather than what we consider rather a simple solution to our challenges. Their request for the moon, naturally, and perhaps thankfully in hindsight, was in fact turned down. Another attempt was made 2.5 years ago to add some topsoil to the damaged slope. But unfortunately, there was no follow-up to the dumping of the soil, and it washed down the hill with the first rainfall, significant rainfall, right into the bandshell itself. Tonight, our hope is to finally remedy the problem by simpler means. We propose to remove the topsoil to allow for a few small improvements. We'd like, first and foremost, can I use a pointer and actually point at this? So our proposal is, there's a catch basin, let me orient myself here, about there. It's hard to see on this particular drawing. That catch basin we perceive to be the primary cause of much of the erosion of the hillside. We'd like to see it moved, the grading redone to accommodate its moving, and the installation of weeping tile and better drainage so that we don't have the constant erosion happening. We'd like to raise, essentially with the bench level, we can walk outside to this. We'd like to see the entire grade of the hill gently sloped from the top of the bench elevation down to the band shell itself. We'd like to see an irrigation system installed that would accommodate the long-term maintenance of Peace Park and keep the park attractive in perpetuity. Our proposal is to top dress, grade, and seed the entire sloped area in what is commonly referred to as turf grass. These are the grasses used on golf courses that are traditionally tough, fast repairing grasses that can withstand plenty of traffic. We'd like to supply and install some deciduous trees. Our recommendation is for silver maples because they'll provide more shade for our summer audience. They grow quickly, and they could ultimately replace and or eliminate the pine trees along the southwest upper side of the park. Our plan is to accommodate the new concrete pads that the town has already approved to support the permanent recycling and garbage bins that are being installed in the park between now and when our concert series starts next season. Our proposal, with thanks to Todd Barber of Forest Green Creations for his time and effort supplying the landscape drawings, is to firstly ask for your approval and blessing for us to move forward with researching bringing this to fruition. Our plan is to approach DeCourt Landscaping, who we worked with in the initial band shell building and landscaping, to put together a final budget for our proposal. Then, assuming it is within our hoped budget, we propose working with the town to fundraise to see this completed by the start of our 2020 and 15th summer concert series. Our plan is to see pavers, similar to what we did for the 150th anniversary, to extend the pathway around the band shell, allowing new patrons of the concert series to add their commemorative bricks to our walkway. We require your blessing and collaborative effort for a number of reasons. Foremost, it's your park. We simply lease it on Thursday evenings during the summer. Secondly, you, the town of Pelham, can provide charitable receipts to donors. And lastly, we need your staff expertise. Your recreation director, engineering, drainage, electrical, and water systems. We thank you for your consideration and sincerely hope that we can work together in making our summer concert series better by solving the challenges of our sloped hillside before a serious accident occurs. Any questions?
Thank you for the presentation, Ms. Balches. Any questions from councilors? Go down, Councilor Hahn.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So, just so I understand, so as opposed to a steep slope, it'd be a gentle slope, and people would still put their lawn chairs, as opposed to like tiers.
Correct. We want to maintain the grassed area. It works. We've looked at doing the tiering, but frankly, we actually lose seating. We've done the layout, we've done the numbers, figured it out. When we need to maximize seating for larger events, the gentle slope, in fact, works better. We think it's more conducive to the small town atmosphere, and it's worked for 15 years. What's the expression? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Just need some correcting.
Councilor Court.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for your presentation and also for your committee. What a great committee and job. You guys are great ambassadors. You bring in 4,000 people every Thursday night. Like, what a drawing card in the Niagara region. And I was fortunate to be a part of that great community, and I had to leave for other reasons. But again, Gail, what do you estimate the cost?
So we anticipate the cost actually being fairly reasonable. We're hoping in the range of $25,000 to $50,000. Having said that, it's the irrigation system that we don't know the cost of. I don't know that. That's where we need to work with your expertise, because I'm not exactly sure, and we haven't spoken with DeCourts yet, where your closest water is. From previous discussions, when we looked at doing this a number of years back, I believe the closest water is actually in the corner of this building. So it may in fact mean cutting across that parking lot. But is there anyone here tonight that might know where the closest water is? No? Okay, you don't want to answer that question. So those are the, so to answer your question, I don't know the pricing at this point. Our hope is to do it fairly reasonably, but the irrigation system, if we're to put that in, if it's attainable, that's where any serious cost would be. Having said that, that's not hundreds of thousands, but it's certainly more
So
money.
through you, Mayor, that means that this project has to start sometimes right after the end of your
Quite
contract,
correct.
which is next
Correct.
Thursday, or this Thursday.
That's why
coming.
we're here now and didn't wish to delay it. Because if we're going to get this done, we need to do this in concert with the town over the next several months in order to make sure that it's completed.
If I can just ask one question first.
Of course, Mark.
So when you guys, 15 years ago, when you did the band shell,
Correct.
I think it's a little known secret that you guys did it yourself, I believe.
Well, we didn't do it entirely ourselves. Fonto's 150th anniversary committee, which was done, Vicki Van Ravensway was a part of that. And it was, again, a group of volunteers that essentially put all of that together. But yes, you're quite right. We fundraised. So we had several different committees. We had a fundraising team that raised all of the money for the building of the band shell itself. We had another team that was in charge of the construction of the band shell. I was blessed to actually be on both of those committees. So yes, I know all the history of it. So we worked, we fundraised between businesses donating and the monies that were raised for those pavers. There was absolutely no cost to the town when that 150th anniversary band shell was built.
Excellent. So
None.
that's what I wanted to have you
We actually
say.
had about $16,000 left over, if I recall, some of which went to the first Fonto Band Shell Concert Series and the other went to the Historical Society.
Okay, so the community came together 15 years ago.
Absolutely,
And
100%.
it didn't, all that you guys did ended up costing the town zero at that time?
Quite correct.
Actually, so, and is
Have a
it,
surplus.
so I take it that you're also hopeful that this same momentum will be built on this project?
Absolutely. It's certainly our hope. As I say, our hope is that we will need your expertise from the engineering, the water, and those types of things. And I need the charitable receipts, but our hope is to self-fundraise for this to be done.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Councilor Trophy?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to echo Councilor Corr's comments that you guys did a great job. I was there several times this summer, and it was very nice. And there's also one other thing, part of the beautification committee, and I think that beautification committee would also be interested in helping out in what way they can with this revitalization of this area. So that'd be something I'm sure they would be interested in.
Fabulous. Good suggestion.
No, but go ahead.
Maybe, Mr. Mayor, what I was gonna ask earlier is, with regards to, those folks that are gonna do the work, so we've got about 3 or 4 different landscaping companies, at least in Pelham.
Correct.
Would you be seeking some information as far as, costs from at least more than a few?
Potentially. Candidly, Lisa, DeCourts were very generous when we built the 150th anniversary. Not every landscaping company is as generous and as kind as DeCourts has been, certainly to the Peace Park and the band shell. So our initial proposal, and we've already spoken with DeCourts, is that they would consider being as generous again, and our hope is to work with them on that level as well. Certainly, having said that, when we built the band shell, we had several construction companies come out and donate to it. And it was a rather unique project. We probably ended up with 7 of the best framers in the entire municipality framing that band shell together, which was rather unique too. So there may be a team effort that comes out of this, but until we go out and reach out, I can't answer the question.
Councilor Hildebrand.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I also would like to echo my appreciation for a great job you guys do.
Thanks, Bob.
What I really like is about your proposal is you're not changing the basic concept, because I have a lot of friends that come from out of this community, and they like that it's a grass hill because they go to similar concerts around the area and even in the US, and they like the grass slope, and there's a lot of concerts that are held that way, and I think that maintains the drawing card for this area, not changing the basic concept. So thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you, Bob.
Councilor Wink.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, again, great job that your committee does every year. You know, I've been a supporter through my
significant
former
part of it, yeah.
employer for a number of years. But, you know, Gail had mentioned pie in the sky proposal, and I think the pie in the sky proposal was upwards of $1 million for a peace park with all sorts of armor stone and everything
Splash
else.
pad and all kinds of things.
Yeah. This becomes an extremely viable solution. It may be an opportunity for town to consider some of the rest of the Peace Park if we're changing catch basins and whatever. There are some catch basins further up in the park and leveling that could be done, and yeah, the town take a portion of fixing the park and getting it done right, because, you know, heavens knows we've talked about improving this park forever. I love your initiative, but I think there's an opportunity for us to piggyback on that initiative. So thank you for your presentation.
Great, thank you, John.
Councilor Court.
Yeah, I know earlier this year you came to us with a budget proposal about lighting. And I just don't want us to lose that opportunity if we're going to tear everything up, is to put the lighting. I know you wanted that a number of years.
Yeah.
So just.
Great suggestion, and thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, in a perfect world, it is the ideal time.
Because it's the right time to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. Unfortunately, the lighting that we put in the trees back in 2008, the trees have grown in those 15 years. And, yeah, then they're no longer working, they've been vandalized, anyway, it's, yeah, so we definitely need improved lighting. Mind you, the Christmas tree lights that we've put up for the last couple of seasons at least have helped. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we have some companies in town that I know have expressed an interest in being good corporate citizens, so I think there might be an opportunity to approach as well these organizations to help out in a real big way. Yes, yes,
Look forward to speaking with those people.
yes, yes.
So, and just to close this out, I know I've had a couple of members of the big service groups. They've come to me and said, Marv, this town has got to get a project that everyone can get involved in. We want to get involved, and they're just chomping at the bit. So I said, indeed, the next move is to get the courts involved in this, and just make sure you convey to him that there's service clubs that if he can come out there with his people and be the supervisors, I know that we can fill that park with volunteers and get it done. So, again, thank you for the presentation, and it would appear that council is endorsing your enthusiasm.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors, we very much appreciate it.
Yeah, there's just the one last thing. The only thing I would think twice about is the silver maple, just because of the keys in late May and June. And then when the concerts are on a Thursday night, and there's all those maple keys everywhere, helicopters known
That's
as.
what we're trying to eliminate, are those pine cones that we trip on.
Yeah, so that's just something, when you're talking to the professional landscapers, they probably
Good point, Mike.
be able to direct you in the proper way.
So Gail, just, can you provide the clerk with your speaking notes?
Absolutely.
At the end of the evening?
Sure.
Okay, excellent. Any other discussion, or I will read this motion? Okay, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be it resolved that council, a motion put forward by Councillor Corr, seconded by Councillor Hahn, Be it resolved, the council received the delegation by the Fonthill Band Shell Committee. All those in favor? All those against? Thank you very much. And if I can ask the clerk, does council have to take any other steps at this time to make sure the ball keeps rolling here? Or is it now in the band shells? I'm thinking, do we have to, go ahead.
I would suggest that we direct the question through the CAO, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. CAO?
There are a number of ways we can proceed, but I'd like to suggest that probably an ideal course of action is to provide some direction to staff to meet with the entirety of the committee or representatives of the committee as they prefer. You know, and put a short timeline before the end of the week, by next week. So, where's that effect? To sort of hammer out some ideas and some concepts. There are clearly there's a very good vision that's actually already received a lot of thought and so fairly well developed. There are a couple of technical challenges with doing works on public property that we could probably assist with, and in fairness to the committee, they are indicating a desire to tap into some the professional expertise staff have to offer. So the best mechanism for us to engage that is to meet with and work through something to bring back that's probably going to take the form of a staff report and also give us a fairly strong, strict timeline on that too. Just rise to the top of our agenda so that we don't burn the valuable good weather time we have. That's obviously a prime consideration, but that allows us to kick around a couple of the pragmatic challenges to helping this move quickly. So what I would suggest, rather than trying to go over all of those in the public realm before we can sort of speak to each other, is that you instruct staff to, return with we have a committee meeting 3 weeks today. Is that correct?
We have a committee meeting on the 16th.
16th.
Yeah, that's really problematic. Do we not have something on the 23rd?
That's a special council meeting through you, Mr. Mayor. That's a special council meeting to consider the results of the cannabis open house public meeting.
We really don't want to go so much later than the 16th.
Yeah, we have a real problem getting you If council were to waive its usual published deadline and requirement, we can't possibly have this thing ironed out in less than a week. And that's, for something to be done on the 16th, means it has to be done this week. That's where our current rules are, and we're not capable of doing that. We can't turn something around in 36 hours. So, Madam Clerk, help me here.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that would mean, it could come as an addendum to the 16th.
That we could work with. An 11th hour addendum, we could probably meet the 16th. We can't in our normal publishing.
I would be publishing Friday or Monday.
Yeah, we're going to miss that. Like, we're not capable of doing that. So if council's okay with an addendum, then I believe we could do that for the 16th with a coherent plan.
Councilor Trophy?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, do we need a motion for that, put on the floor? If so, I'm willing to make that motion to move it forward.
Okay, so a seconder. Councilor Core?
That staff are to meet with representatives of the committee and produce a report that substantially furthers the vision and direction of the committee for council's consideration with as many specifics as are possible.
Okay, excellent. We heard the motion. All those in favor of that motion? Okay, all those against?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the treasurer. I know we're in the budget mold. I just wonder if there's any opportunities to look at funding some money to the organization or the committee. I know we're at the beginning stages here.
Mr. Mayor, Councillor Corr, are you referring to the 2020 budget?
Yes.
We definitely could put it in there, and if we know what the number is, we're in the process of looking at the capital budgets, so we can put that as a consideration.
Just through you, I just want to make sure that if we did have some money there, we could look to this great organization. Thank you.
So if I can, just for everyone's understanding, which will help prior to our next meeting, it does appear and sound as if there are many philanthropically and civically minded individuals in this community who could probably assist with some of those costs. In the event that the municipality puts money in, we're going to end up tripping all of our procurement rules, and you can kiss this fall goodbye.
Yeah.
So that although we're certainly capable of doing the thing you inquire about, that turns this into a next spring project with all of the strength and speed that is government.
Okay. Gail, you're on your own. Okay. Okay, excellent. Then we'll leave it at that. You and staff get together, and we'll look forward to a miniature report coming back on the 16th then. Excellent. Thank you very much. Yep. Oh, and Gail, don't forget about the notes for the clerk.
Is it okay if I just email it to you tomorrow, Nancy?
Great, thank you. Yep, okay. Okay, so that's it. Then shall on to, I believe, the next on the agenda is a report by Regional Councilor Diana Houston. Diana, the floor is yours.
Hello. Nice to see everyone. Okay, so touching base on a couple things that have progressed at the region. So the first one I wanted to mention was the region had joined the Built for Zero Canada initiative, which is an initiative to end chronic homelessness in Canada. It offers a structured, supportive approach for the municipalities to address homelessness. And what they offer is expertise in terms of how we can determine housing needs based on best past practices that are happening in other municipalities, but also providing data. So now the housing decisions will be data informed by other communities in Ontario that have been successfully addressing these problems. And the region joins 20 other municipalities in Ontario who have joined this initiative, and there's, across Canada, there's now 33 communities. So the second item I want to talk about was the automated speed enforcement. On May 30th, the province passed Bill 65, the Safer School Zone Act, that authorized municipalities to utilize the speed cameras to address vehicle concerns and reduce the amount of speeding that's happening in certain intersections. In Niagara in 2016, there were fatal and serious injury collisions that increased by 9.31% over the previous year, and Niagara was ranked 20% higher in the number of collisions in similar jurisdictions in Toronto. So this is a tool that we think will be very effective in identifying, well, in addressing intersections that have become very problematic for speeding or for serious collisions. There have not yet been locations identified for the cameras, and the cameras are about $30,000 to implement. So I think there will be a very serious look at what intersections are justified in terms of implementing these types of technologies. And then there was also an updated smoking and vaping bylaw. We already have a smoking bylaw in place, but the vape-free vape-free outdoor spaces bylaw now came into effect, and it also added some new locations public spaces being beaches, recreational trails, and within 9 meters of an entrance or exit of a publicly accessible place, building, or workplace. Conservation Authority. So there's been yet some more turnover in our boards. We should land on a full permanent board come October. The region decided that they were unhappy with the level of political representation on that committee, so we ended up appointing 3 additional regional councillors. Gail Wood was granted a contract extension and made our permanent CAO until the end of the year. We will be continuing to look at a replacement after that point, so we do have a CAO selection committee in place and we'll be recruiting. On July 22nd, we declared a climate emergency, and the 2019 flood plan was put forward by staff, which will be being promoted publicly, and we'll be looking for public engagement and feedback on that. I think there's about 14 homes along the Welland River in Pelham, so the flood plan mapping is very important because it impacts what people can do with their properties. So it's a really significant document, and it impacts those homeowners quite seriously in terms of the limitations they have on their properties. When I submitted this was before the AMO conference, and on the Friday beforehand, we also received a letter from the minister that advised conservation authorities to wind down activities that were unrelated to our non-core mandate. We haven't actually had clarification on what the ministry considers our core mandate, so we weren't quite sure what that meant. There was a comment in one of the local, or in one of the Toronto papers from the minister afterward that referred to tree top trekking or weddings, pretty much activities that we consider revenue generation. So there is a concern that if we stop those activities, it actually makes the activities of the authority more expensive, and then our only way of raising money is by imposing the levy. So I'm sure we will have further discussion on that. We'd like, obviously, to be able to generate revenue so we can offset taxes, not increase taxes. But aside from that, we also had a presentation by the Tourism Partnership of Niagara at our Planning and Economic Development Committee. It's a nonprofit organization funded by the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Sport. There are 13 regional tourism organizations across Ontario, and we currently, Pelham as well as Thorold are the only 2 municipalities not engaging with the tourism partnerships. So I think there's actually an opportunity here, considering it's a free resource that's funded by the ministry to boost and promote tourism in and around Niagara. I'd like to explore more about what, if anything, we can engage with them on and how that can benefit Pelham. So I may be bringing something forward in the future after following up with some conversations on them. And aside from that, I went to the AMO conference where some of our colleagues were there. It was a really great event. As a new politician, the learning opportunities were quite abundant. It was a great way to network with other municipalities and other political actors or public sector staff. It was quite interesting to see that a lot of the issues that Niagara is having is actually quite common and shared in other municipalities. So like affordable housing, the shortage of skilled trades, how we're managing cannabis in our communities, the decrease in public health and childcare funding. It seems that a lot of the municipalities actually are sharing in some of the experiences we're having. So it's a great opportunity to touch base and see what other communities are doing and sharing best practices or providing a united front in terms of asking the government to reconsider their stance on a couple things. And that's it.
Thank you.
Have any questions?
So before I open it up for question, I got a few, Diana. Go back to the first one you touched on, the housing. That will be ran, I take it, through the Niagara Regional Housing Authority?
They actually have a dedicated staff member who will be the contact for that program. Niagara Regional Housing and is actually looking at integrating with the region. Like there's the Niagara Regional Housing Corporation, and then the region has housing, and they've recognized that they're duplicating services, but they're also asking residents who use these services to submit information, sometimes the same information 3 times. So they've identified that there's a lack of efficiency in terms of how we deliver housing services in Niagara, and they're trying to look at an amalgamated model in terms of how we can better deliver those services and be get more bang out of our buck, let's say. The Built for Zero is an initiative that there is a dedicated staff resource. She's housed at the region, and I think we'll see more how being involved in this organization can really inform some of the decisions that we're making with regards to housing.
And we don't have, they didn't bother giving us a pie-in-the-sky figure as to how many housing units we could expect to generate with this way or anything like that?
It's more of a resource to better inform decisions around housing. So how can we build better housing that addresses a more immediate need? Affordable housing is something communities all across Ontario need. So I guess just having a collaborative tool, networking opportunities, and then also data that they can provide on best practices can help us with our decision making.
Okay. And if I could, just on a couple of other, on the tourism issue, I know I was at a meeting, political meeting, whether it be 3 weeks ago, and there was an official there that came, recognized my name tag, and he got talking, and he was quite disappointed that Pelham did not have any pamphlets at all at the gateway of Niagara. So he said, and like you said, I think it was either ourselves and Thorold or somebody else, but definitely Pelham did not have anything that anybody could latch onto at the gateway and say, "Wow, this is what we want to do."
Like the band shell. Promote
Yeah.
the band shell or any of the other awesome activities that are happening here. I agree. I think we could be doing something.
Yeah.
We'd do anything really.
Yeah,
It's a bit
yeah.
more than what we're doing now.
So it's something that we can look into is getting those pamphlets out there. And I know you're working on another initiative, and I'm not going to cat out of the bag, but what you said, if that happens, and you can come back to council with an update on this other event that's about to unfurl, that has a lot of potential. I think that just blows my socks off when I heard
Well,
that.
I feel like I have to talk about it now. Because, it's just in meeting with the tourism partnership and discussing, what, if anything, opportunities are available for Pelham. He discussed the idea of, perhaps promoting Highway 20 as the scenic drive to Niagara Falls, and how can we do a better job of, instead of driving through Niagara and hitting Niagara Falls, how can we draw people onto Highway 20 so that they can experience some of the communities that are along the way? And I'm trying to explore that with them in terms of what, if anything, we can do, and maybe that can add to any potential literature if we want to develop it on promoting the town and all the wonderful things that we have to offer.
Well, I think even better, why stop at Highway 20? If you can bring them up Victoria Avenue, right to Canberra Road, and then down Canberra. I mean, they've just had a real hectic drive coming over the bridge and on the Queen Elizabeth Way, and now they're looking for some place to relax a little bit. You come down right Victoria Avenue and down Canberra Road and hit all those nice little shops down through there. Boy, I think that's a heck of an opportunity that we've been missing, and that would be great for the businesses along the way there. We really do have to push on that. That's for sure.
I'm pushing.
No? Good girl.
Sorry.
Okay, so much myself, and any other council members have any questions on the presentation? Councilor Hahn?
Through Mr. Mayor, a question that's not on your presentation, but if you're okay, I'm just going to go down the transportation route for a minute. Have you heard any more discussion with regards to the expansion of, or extension of merit to join to the 406? That's obviously something the region would have to
Yes,
involve
I
itself.
believe the anticipated date is 2022. There has to be some assessments happening before that, but it is slotted as a connector in the near future. There's just, you know, whatever needs to happen in terms of the studies that have to take place or the preparation, the engineers' reports and whatnot. But
So
it
that's
is.
started, the reports, yeah?
Oh, I don't know if the reports have started, but the date that they've identified is 2021 or 2022. I actually forwarded it to a resident after, I think you guys emailed me on that.
I get asked all the time because it's Ward 3 and it affects property values.
Yeah,
so people
I'm
are
happy to
curious.
forward. I have an answer
Yeah.
in my email, and it's a little more specific than what I'm giving you now, and I'm happy to share that with you.
Okay, perfect. And now that I also have both of you in the room, Leo Van Vliet, Chair, and also from Welland, Chair of the Airport Commission, would like an opportunity to actually speak with yourself and the CAO and Mayor, just to highlight some of the things I discussed with you earlier at an earlier meeting with regards to the airport. So,
Yes.
yeah.
I got an email from him, and
Good.
I'm going to set it up in the next couple of days.
Perfect.
And we'll do that.
Great.
Yep, excellent.
That's great.
Councilor Hildebrand?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your report. I like the part about tourism Niagara. I think we're missing a giant opportunity, and I'm hoping that Mark catches these comments, because last Sunday I was in Fenwick, and the Maserati Club came through. You should have seen these high-end cars just going down Canberra Road. And I've seen the Corvette Club. They come up through Jordan. They go up through Jordan, their tour. And I mean, that kind of stuff, that kind of publicity will get people coming and looking. And really, that's what it's all about. And I think if there's a venue on how to get this done, we need to take that opportunity.
Couldn't agree more, Bob. Thank you. Councilor Trophy?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So you were talking when you were at the AMO about talking to other members about cannabis in their community. Can you give us any feedback on what their experience or what their intentions or plans?
I didn't attend any of the cannabis. I was just saying that was part of the information sessions that they had available. Yeah, I don't have any new information regarding that, but I can certainly try and collect some information from colleagues who may have gone and forward it to you.
Yeah, that would be helpful. And then, my next one through you, Mr. Mayor. With the no smoking that they passed, like within beaches and et cetera, who would be responsible for enforcing those rules? Would it be each municipality, or?
I'm not sure. I'm assuming it would be bylaw officers. I just don't know.
The region has a separate smoking bylaw enforcement division that everything funnels through the region.
So the region would enforce that?
Yes, they have designated officers that come out and address smoking, vaping, cannabis, and it was related to that.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you for the presentation, Diana, and I think excellent job. Thank you. Motion put forward by Councilor Hahn, seconded by Councilor Kaur. Be it resolved that the September 3rd, 2019 report submitted by Regional Councilor Hewson be received for information. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion put forward by Councilor Hahn, seconded by Councilor Kaur. Be it resolved that the following minutes be adopted as printed and circulated in red. 1, SC-29/2019, Special Council Minutes, August 12th, 2019. 2, C-13/2019, Regular Council Minutes, August 12th, 2019. Any comments, omissions, discussions on these minutes? Councilor Trophy?
Yeah, this would be the minutes from August 12th,
Yeah.
5:30 PM meeting, and it's going to be section, sorry, just had it up here. was in regards to the gypsy moths,
Okay,
and that staff was going to be looking at getting a consultant.
okay,
But I just want to ensure, it doesn't say anything there about getting a proper RFP
yeah.
for that.
First, well, is the clerk looking, or do you have the complete minutes that the counselor is referencing?
I just want to get to those minutes.
Yeah, so it's 11.2.1.
Yeah, I'm sorry, on
11.2.
And the paragraph says that council will approve additional expenditures of $21,550 to retain a forestry consultant for the purpose of completing fall infestation surveys in coordination of the 2020 Gypsy Moth Control Program, if required. I just want to make sure that a proper RFP goes there and that we're not just hiring the previous guy.
Right.
So I think the wording should be in there that council approves that an RFP to have the consulting. And that's what was brought up that night.
through you, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
that would have been in my notes, but it wasn't, I'll double check, but I don't believe that that was part of the actual motion, but certainly it is in my notes to that. But if you wanted to make a change, if you don't believe that that properly reflects the motion that was presented, let me just get back to those minutes. Oh, I have the minutes here. I need to go back to my other notes. Thank you, Counselor.
Yeah, I believe I made that myself, that statement, that we get an RFP for that and not go with Trees Unlimited right off the bat.
Yes, yep.
And the conversation actually came up when you said, can you ask Trees Unlimited? And I asked about the
Yeah.
cost of that.
Yeah.
Through you, yes, that could have been in the discussion, but not necessarily the motion, and the discussion would certainly have been captured in my notes, but not in the resolution. So let me just go back and double check.
Well, we can short circuit all of this by staff simply informing you that we will issue an RFP.
I just want to make sure.
The only times we don't, under our purchasing policy, are in essence emergent basis. And I'm not aware of any emergency, ergo our default mode is to issue an RFP. We will do so, regardless of how
I just wanted to be assured that that's going to happen, that's all. It doesn't have to be.
we'll publicly make that, give you that undertaking.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Not seeing any. Be it resolved that the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. All those in favor? All those against? Motion carries. Thank you for clarifying that, Counselor.
Thank you.
Okay, motion put forward by Counselor Hildebrand, seconded by Counselor Wink. Be resolved that the consent agenda items as listed on the September 3rd, 2019 council agenda be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved as applicable. This one I asked if they want to pull, right?
Yes, if there's any items.
Yeah, so is there any items in the consent agendas, that's from 9 till, anything with a 9, I guess, I'm sorry, I don't have the name here. Anybody wants to pull any of these items? Not seeing any, then I'll ask then that the consent agenda be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved as applicable. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Motion put forward by Councilor Hildebrand, seconded by Councilor Wink. Be it resolved that council receive report 2019-0055 planning and that council approve the part lot control exemption bylaw for 120, 122, 124, 126, 128, 130, 135, 137, 139, 141, 143, 145, 147, and 149 Acacia Road, and described legally as blocks 42, 43, 45, and 46 on Plan 59M-456 and Parts 1 to 23 on RP 59R-1649-8. Any discussion on this, on these lots? Councillor Corr.
Yes, to you, Mr. Mayor, to the director. Can you just explain, I read it several times, so why are we voting on the parts lot control? And it's dealing with the developers selling individual land, or they can't sell individual lands? I'm not sure we're clear here, that's all.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, through you, these are blocks in a plan of subdivision that contain townhouses on them. And in order to provide the dividing lot line to create the individual townhouse unit, you need to pass a part lot control bylaw, and then that will allow for the sale and the transfer of the land, because right now it's all one large block. And in this case, we've got 4 blocks that have townhouse units, so it's one reference plan and one bylaw dealing with various points or various townhouse blocks. It's really a technical matter to create lots, and it's a process under the Planning Act to create lots when it's a block in a plan of subdivision.
Because when we did look at the original plans, they were all subdivided already.
The lots were subdivided,
I thought it was.
but not the townhouse blocks.
Okay,
There is
one
large
big-
blocks.
Okay,
And within each block is 5 or 6 townhouse units.
okay.
And so this will create then the individual lines between the townhouse units.
Okay, thank you for the answer.
Any other questions? Okay. That being the case, call this for a vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion put forward by Councillor Stewart, seconded by Councillor Hildebrand. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration to the following bylaws, do now read a first, second, and third time and do pass same, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the bylaws. Number 1, bylaw 4147, 2019, being a bylaw to exempt blocks 42, 43, 45, and 46 on Plan 59M-456, municipally known as 120, 122, 124, 126, 128, 130, 135, 137, 139, 141, 143, 145, 147, and 149 Acacia Road from Part Lot Control, Saffron Meadows, Phase 1 Subdivision, Hurt Inc., file number PLC-01-19, and bylaw 4149-2019, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 4023-2018, respecting development charges. Any questions regarding these bylaws? Not seeing any, I call the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion put forward by Councilor Wink, seconded by Councilor Hildebrand, confirming bylaw. Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read a first, second, and third time and passed, being a bylaw number 4151, 2019, to adopt, ratify, and confirm the proceedings of council of the town of Pelham at its regular meeting held on the third day of September 2019. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion put forward by Councilor Stewart, seconded by Councilor Hildebrand. Be it resolved that this regular meeting of council be adjourned until the next regular meeting scheduled for September 16th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. All those in favor? All those opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Now, council, do you want to continue into P?